Lindsie just started going absolutely insane, yelling, screaming, calling my mom every name under the sun, you stupid effing blah, 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 blah.
Every reality show has its drama, but not many spill over into real life like this. The Chrisleys sold themselves as a picture-perfect Southern family, lavish, polished, and always ready with witty banter for the cameras. But behind the glossy TV smiles, things were falling apart. What began as small cracks in private finally burst into public view.
I know for a fact there was resentment that my parents were together and we had our nuclear family, and they just didn't feel like they were a part of it.
A blow-up so big it ended not only a relationship between sisters, but one woman's entire role on the family's hit show. And from there, accusations, bitterness, and betrayal took over. This isn't just a story about fame. It's a cautionary tale about what happens when family fights, secrets, and suspicions explode for the whole world to judge. Let's dig into what really went down between Savannah and Lindsie Chrisley, and why this feud hasn't healed even after years. Savannah describes it as the moment everything snapped. Lindsie, in her words, went absolutely insane, screaming, yelling, cursing at their mom, Julie, using words no family member ever wants to hear thrown in their face.
I remember vividly one day she and my mom got into an argument because Lindsie went to wake up Chloe out of bed to do a social media post with her, and Chloe was already in bed. Now, if someone were to do this to Lindsay's child, she would have gone berserk.
Savannah remembers her sister calling Julie every name under the sun. And this wasn't some private squabble behind closed doors. This fight was the breaking point that severed Lindsay's connection to the rest of the family. And Savannah's telling, that's when the show itself changed forever. At the height of the chaos, Savannah says her sister disregarded all lines of respect. For the Chrisleys, it wasn't just embarrassing, it was betrayal dressed as conflict. And in a family empire built on polished images, that kind of scene wasn't something they could sweep away with clever editing. But the tension didn't happen out of nowhere. The feud had a flashpoint, and it involved one of the youngest members of the family, Chloe. The origin story of this feud is surprisingly domestic. Todd and Julie had taken in Chloe, the daughter of Todd's troubled son Kyle, making her part of their nuclear family. To Savannah, Chloe was their little sister, protected and cared for like one of their own. Then came the day Savannah never forgot. According to her, Lindsie tried to wake Chloe up just to do a social media post. Chloe was already in bed for the night. That one move sparked fury. To Savannah, it wasn't just inconsiderate, it was exploiting a child for internet content. Her words were sharp. If anyone had dared to do that with Lindsay's son, she would have gone berserk. The hypocrisy, she claims, was undeniable. To her, Lindsie crossed the line between being a sibling and using Chloe as a prop. And that was only the start. That moment snowballed into shouting, resentment, and eventually the end of one chapter of the show itself. For 5 seasons, Lindsie had been part of Chrisley Knows Best. Fans knew her as Todd's daughter from his first marriage, sometimes skeptical of the family's over-the-top lifestyle, but still part of the cast. Then suddenly she was gone. Savannah's account makes it clear the reason. The fight with Julie had gone too far. Screaming obscenities, waking Chloe for content, those were the final straws. That's when Lindsay's role officially ended. One day she was in episodes, the next she wasn't. And while viewers assumed it was a creative decision, the truth was much louder. Family fractures had spilled into television. No clever editing could save the brand if the family itself was crumbling. But beneath the surface of this fight was something deeper. Long-standing resentment wasn't new. It had been brewing for years. At its core, this feud wasn't just about Chloe or one screaming match. It was about family structure. Lindsie and Kyle came from Todd's first marriage. When Todd married Julie, they started a new family together, complete with kids like Savannah and Chase. Savannah claims Lindsie resented that nuclear family unit. She says her sister felt like an outsider. In her words, they just didn't feel like they were a part of it. That kind of quiet resentment doesn't stay quiet forever. Fans of the show may not have realized it, but behind smiling family dinners, that tension was seeping into real life. Who was in the family? Who was out? Who was being protected and who wasn't? Those questions built a wall long before the blow-up made it visible. But there was still another layer that pushed this feud out of personal territory and onto a national stage. accusations tied directly to Todd and Julie's criminal case. This is where the story escalates into truly combustible territory. Savannah has openly accused Lindsie of helping bring down their parents by playing a role in Todd and Julie's indictment. Savannah called her sister hell-bent on bringing it all down, and added, "Boy, did she succeed, or at least she thinks she did." These are heavy words, the kind of accusations that fracture families beyond repair. It's important to note, this accusation is speculative. Lindsie has denied wrongdoing, and no court documents directly substantiate Savannah's claim, but inside the family, trust broke to pieces. When your sister is accused of helping put your parents behind bars, how do you even begin to mend that right? Fans saw the cracks, but not the depth of betrayal Savannah insists took root then. And from that point on, the family's outlook shifted from defensive to paranoid.
Lindsie just started going absolutely insane, yelling, screaming, calling my mom every name under the sun, you stupid effing blah, 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 blah. And at that point, that's when Lindsie's time on the show.
Savannah doesn't mince words anymore. She said outright, "If your own blood betrays you, a stranger definitely will." That's the kind of statement that tells you just how deep the wound went. Imagine living in a family where betrayal feels like it's baked into your DNA. For Savannah, this wasn't just about one fight or one social media stunt or even one court case. It was about learning that the people who should protect you might be the first to hurt you. It made the Chrisleys paranoid. Who could they trust? If family members could turn, then opening doors to outsiders became unthinkable. And for a celebrity family already burned by the spotlight, paranoia meant even tighter circles and louder suspicions. But in 2025's media landscape, the story never stays quiet. Rumors circle endlessly, fans choose sides, and narratives twist depending on who's telling them. The feud between Savannah and Lindsie has become its own cottage industry online. Entire corners of the internet debate what really happened. Some fans back Savannah's perspective, believing Lindsie tried to sabotage their parents. Others defend Lindsie, saying she was unfairly cast as the family's scapegoat. Reports claim different things. Some say Lindsie cooperated with authorities during the indictment process. Others assert she distanced herself entirely and wanted nothing to do with the trial. The truth? Messy, complicated, and probably somewhere in between. But one thing is undeniable. Controversy fuels clicks. What's whispered spreads faster than what's proven. And for the Chrisley feud, accusations, betrayals, and paranoia keep those whispers alive. The real mystery isn't whether they fought. We know they did. It's whether this family will ever be able to reconcile with what's been said and done. So after years of broken trust, screaming matches, and allegations, can Savannah and Lindsie ever repair their bond? Todd has occasionally fueled reconciliation rumors in interviews, but Savannah's tone remains unforgiving. She feels words like betrayal and sabotage can't be smoothed over with a phone call. Lindsie, for her part, has spoken in interviews too. She's painted herself as misunderstood, deflecting the narrative that she destroyed her own family. To her, the Chrisleys wrote her out, and she simply found life outside their spotlight. The gap between these versions of the story is wide and maybe permanent, because how do you move forward when your family believes you had a hand in their very downfall? The Chrisleys once sold America an image: Southern wealth, family values, endless laughs. But the cracks in that glossy image split open in front of everyone. What began with hurt feelings over Khloe, an explosion of words at Julie, and an exit from reality TV spiraled into years of mistrust. By the time Savannah was accusing Lindsie of fueling her parents' indictment, this feud wasn't just family drama. It was a saga of betrayal, paranoia, and blame.